I have 6 years of experience in teaching, and parallelly I have 6 years of experience in working experience like R&D department, the developer side, software developer. So before going to the C programming, like just we will start with the basics concepts and what is the programming and how we can use and what is the rules and regulations. Those topics we will discuss, and after that we will know like what are the concepts we have in the C language. So first, as I mentioned before, C programming, like just we will understand the computers. Okay, so like computer will understand only machine level language, which we are saying binary language with zeros and ones. So whatever we tell to the computer will translate to zeros and ones. So basically, program means a set of instructions which be given by the user to machine to perform some operation. Okay. So programming language is like a formal language to communicate with the computer to do some operations. Whether it is like a application based or like if you're opening any gaming application or if you're opening any video type of application, based on that application rules only we can operate that application. Simple in the simple way, in the same way, like in the programming side also, if you want to use C programming or Java or any other programming languages, whatever we have the set of rules to maintain those applications, we will follow those rules. And if we consider in the market, we have a lot of programming languages. But comparing to all, like we are starting with the C, which is like a basic programming language. As we can say that before C also, we have other two programming languages. Those are Algol and B, which is BCPL system programming language. So, but in these two programming languages also, we have lot of disadvantages. So that is the reason Dennis Rich has invented the C language in the 80 laboratory by taking the references of A and B languages. And after that, he could able to see the proper programming steps in the C language. So that is the reason from there onwards, we are starting with the C programming language only. We simply left out the A language and B language. And now coming to the programming languages, we have five categories. One, procedural programming language. Two, functional programming language. Three, scripting programming language. Four, logic programming language. And five, object oriented programming language. So whatever we are saying the program technologies, those all program technologies will coming under into these five categories only. Consider C. So the C program technology language will be coming under only procedural programming language because it is like a structured programming language. Whatever you want to return, the steps should be in the structured format. So that is the reason C programming will be called as a procedural or structured programming language. Coming to C++. The C++ language also same. It is like a procedural and object-oriented programming language. Why? Because comparing to C, we have more advanced concepts in the C++. Those advanced concepts is called OOPS concept, which we'll call like OOPS, OOPS. So that is like object-oriented programming language. Next, if we consider scripting. So in the scripting programming language, we have JavaScript or Python, these all things. Okay, and now coming to where we will use this C programming language in the real-time scenarios in the market. Because like simply we are learning the C is not sufficient, right? Where we need to use, we need to understand. Then only we can know where it can work. So simply first, wherever we have our embedded devices, embedded means like electronic devices. So wherever we have the electronic devices, in all electronic devices, we will be able to see the C programming only. Because the C programming language is useful for mainly for the Unix operating system comparing to the other operating system like Windows and Mac. Because like if you want to buy Windows or Mac, you need to buy a licensed version. Then only you have the full access. But in the comparing to Unix, it is like an open source. You can simply download and you can install your operating system, and based on that you can work. So that is the reason this all embedded devices, it will work on the Unix operating system preferable. So now, as I mentioned, wherever we have the electronic devices, see for example, our mobile phone is one type of electronic devices. So that type of electronic is like an automobile, which means like telecom industry. So for example, if you are saying like 4G technology or 5G technology, or if we are speaking about like a chipset processor, like Qualcomm chipset or MediaTek chipset processor, or like Samsung separate have its own chipset. So in the all chipset processors also, they will use C programming languages. And not only in the telecom industry, in networking industry. In networking industry means like in our exam case, like we can say in our home we have the router, but this router will take actually like a small functionalities only. But coming to our consider in MNC companies or like software company or any type of companies, they will use like routers. So those routers also will be performed on a C programming languages only. And not only here, we can say like washing machine, TV, cars. These all places also we can see in the C programming languages. And we have the Java and .NET. These two programming language also we can see in the web application set. So if you want to implement any application level, so at that time we will use this Java, .NET, scripting, HTML, CSS. This type of technologies we will use in the web application side. So along with that, like we have the Oracle and PLSQL. These two things will be considered as like database concepts. So consider you have a Amazon or Flipkart user ID and account. So when you enter your user ID and password, it is like authenticating and it is validating. So how it is validating means it is storing your ID and password in somewhere. So that somewhere is called like a PLSQL table database. So that Oracle and PLSQL is maintaining your information, and when you are trying to validate and when you are trying to log in your details, that it is taking that action of like validation, then only you are able to try to log in. If you try to log in with a different password, it will turn an error. So that is the reason. But coming to the C language, we do not have any database concept. We have only files. So whatever you want to store, anything, the data or text or patterns, anything, we can store in the files concept only. So we can say files is a database for the C language. And coming to when we install C language, by default we get a set of library functions and inbuilt functions which are located in the glibc library. So now we will know what are the concepts we have in the C language and how we can use those concepts in the C. So overall we have these many concepts in the C programming language. So out of these, the 5 concepts are like very basic level and the things we need to understand before going to the C programming language. Not only the C, if you consider any programming languages, these are the 5 concepts we need to understand that in that programming language, either Java or C++, anything. So what is those concepts? The keywords. So keywords literally, it is as I mentioned, when we try to install our C programming, it will install in the as per the local disk C, but we will get to know like some of default variables or some of default files. So whatever we are saying the default variables, those variables are called as keywords. So no need to no need to create those type of variables again. So already those variables we have some definition, some rules. So those rules, whatever we have, those are called keywords. And coming to data types. So before going to the data type, just we will understand the variable. So if you want to create any variable, so what is variable? Like simply, if you what type of value you want to store, whether it is like integer value or decimal type of value or character. So whatever type you want to store a value, that just will create one type of variable. Before that, you will assign the data type. Data type represents the type of the value. If you want to store the integer value, we need to give the integer data type, which is like int. If you want to store a decimal value, then we need to give data type as like a float for the variable. Similarly, if you want to store any characters like A or B or special characters, whatever the characters if you want to store, the variable should be contain data type as like a character data type. So in this way, we have lot of data types in the C programming language, but comparing to all of these, like first 3 data types are like primarily, basically we will use all the places in these 3 categories only. So first we will note the first 3 data types, and later going to the sessions, we will understand other data types also. And the next, constant. So constant like simple. Once you assign any value to the variable, it is like a constant. We cannot change. It is like a read-only memory like that. And pre-process. This pre-process stage will be known in the compilation stages. See, as of now, we will know the For example, consider our basic Hello World program. This is our Hello World program. So, if you consider any C program, we will start with the preprocessor, which is like Ash. So, what is the meaning of Ash? Like the preprocessor means before going to the program, if you want to add any header files, or if you want to add any files, or if you want to add any variables to this program, then those all things will be mentioned in the pre-process stage only. That is like pre-process stage. Okay. Now, we can say coming comparison stages, we have four categories: pre-processor, compilation, assembly, and linking. So each and every stage it will take some operation and it will give some results based on your programs. So simply when you write any program, and after if you want to try to compile and execute it background, it will run these four categories. If after successful of these four only you can able to run. If any one of the stage is failed, your program cannot run successfully. It is like somewhere we can able to see the issue. So it is mandatory to complete all these four steps in the background. So based on our write, whatever we written the program, like based on that only it will compile and it will give our results. So those things we will discuss in the compilation stages. Now we will go to like some escape sequences. Like what is escape sequence? These escape characters which we have some definition in the C programming language. Means if you want to use this type of characters, we cannot use in the C programming because these characters have its own definition in the C. So based on that, it will perform some operations. See, for example, if I want to give some /b, it will go to backspace. If you want to give /t, it will go to the tab. Means instead of pressing 8 times of space bar, simply we can give the /t. So in this way, each and every character have its own definitions. So these all things we will know in the output statement, which is like printf case. Now, next concept like input and output. So till here, just we will know the concept whatever we have, and after this input and output operation, we will know how we can take the input from the user, and after taking the input from the user, and how we can process. After processing, how we can show the result to the user. So, if you want to take any input from the user, by using input method, you can take that. So the input method is like simply we can say scanf function. So by using scanf function only, it will read the information from the user, and it will take the value and it will store those values in the respective variables. Now, after taking the value from the scanf, if I want to show that value to the user, then I need to use the printf function. So we can say printf is an output or operation method and scanf is an input operation method. And now the next concept, the comments. So in a program, see for example, in this program, I have written one basic hello world, and along with this, like I have written some description for this program. So in this description, we can write anything as an author name, date, the purpose of the file, whatever we want to require. Those are all things we can require. We can write in here. But if you simply write to the description level, you will get a lot of compilation error. So to avoid the compilation, you will keep the slash and star to avoid the compilation state. So in this case, these all lines will be in the like comments. So at the compilation stage, these lines won't be compiled. So in comment section, we have two categories. One, if you want to write your comment in a single line, just you will use 2/. If it is like a multi-line comment, then you will use this category. So only this is the useful for the C comments. And the next, we will go to the operators concept. In operators, we have 6 categories, which is like arithmetic operator, relation operators, logical operator, unary operator, increment and decrement operator. These all operators. So in each and every operator section, we have 4 to 5 symbols again. So our childhood onwards, we are reading like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulo. These all things will be coming under this arithmetic operators. So as we all know, if you want to use any arithmetic operator, we need to have two operands, which is like either before and after operator. So here A and B are called as operand, and plus is like an operator. Similarly, we have increment and decrement operator. The increment and decrement operator is like, if you want to increment any value by 1, or if you want to increment any value by 2 or 3, you can use plus plus symbol. Similarly, if you want to decrement the values, then we will go with the minus minus symbol. So in this way, based on our convenient method, we will use this increment and decrement operators in our programming. Next, assignment operator. So this assignment operator is like simple equal to, plus or equal to, minus or equal to. These are the operators we have. Next, relation. So which are like less than, greater than, or less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, or double equal to, or not. So these all symbols will be coming under relational operators. And in C, we have this type of logical operator. So if you want to understand this logical operator, it will understand the like most of the case in the flow control case. So as per now, what we'll understand is like simply if you want to take action on two conditions between left and right, then we need to use like an AND operator. Means we need to be true at two sides. Similarly, for the logical OR means either one of the condition will be true, will be the sufficient. So that in that case, we will use the logical OR. See, logical AND is like true only if all operands are true, and logical OR true only if either one operand is true. And last one is like logical NOT. It is like a negation symbol. If you're given true, it will go 0. If you give 0, it will go to 1. Simply it is like a travel, inversely proportional. And bitwise operator. So in C we have bitwise operators also. So what is bitwise? So as we know, the all programming languages, the computer will understand only zeros and ones. But we are giving like our decimal numbers, which is like higher level language, which are like 4, 5, 8, or these all things. But how it will compile and how it will translate zeros and ones, we don't know. But we can also work with bitwise operators by using these symbols with zeros and ones manipulation. So by using these symbols, we can know what is the what is the zeros and one, what is the binary value of this 4. So what is the binary represent of this 4 also we can able to understand. So those all things will be understood in the bitwise operators. Next is like a flow control. Like simple as per now, flow control is like a decision making statement. If you want to tell the program that if the condition is true, then I need to follow some operations. If the condition is failed, I need to skip those statements. See, here for example, I have given the variable equals to 5 test. I am checking whether like test is less than 10. So here my condition is true. So that is the result. It will go to the inside of block and it will execute whatever we return the statements, and it will print, and after that only it will come out of the block. If the condition is failed, it won't go inside the block. Just it will come out of the if condition block. So it is like a condition. If you want to skip those statements, if the condition is true, then only it will execute those statements. At that time, you will use if condition. Next, we have if else also. As per the above picture, we are saying only the condition true, then execute. Otherwise, leave it. But coming to if else, what we are saying, if the condition is true, then execute the block of if. If the condition is failed, just execute the body of the else block. In this way, we will note the if and else block. And after that also we have nested if else ladder, these all things. These all things that will be coming under the concepts wise. Next, loop. Simple. So if you want to do the same operation with n number of times, instead of writing the n number of times, we will use loops concept. So by using loop, it will iterate how many times you want to iterate, those many times it will iterate the loop, and we can print those many times. So it is like avoiding our user effect. So in the loops we have for, while, and do while. And one more thing, like switch case we have. Switch. And the next, the break and continue go to. This break is like whenever you want to break the loop, at that time we will use the break statement. And whenever we want to skip the loop statement, then we will go with the continue. And whenever we want to go to the label statement, so go to is like a labeling statements. So if you want to skip that entire thing from the statement means we will go to the go to statement. So whenever the program encounters the go to, it will go to the go to definition. So see, go to is like a label. So after here, we will know, we will practice some other programmings also. Till now, we will see each and every concept on like basic programming, like one or two, and just the program practice. After completion of break, continue, go to, we will practice more programs on the sample program. And in between, I will give some tasks to you to try your side also. Like in online also, we have a lot of programs. So I will give some basic program questions to you at the after completion of that concept, and you can practice more and more. After completion of sample program, we will go to the functions concept. So what is like functions? Like in functions, we have two, which is like predefined function and user defined function. In predefined function or like whenever you install your C library, by default you will get the predefined functions. So for example, in our C language, we can say main function, printf, scanf. These all are called as predefined functions. So now, what is user-defined function? Whoever writing a program, whoever creating a program, if you want to use any function other than predefined function, so those functions are called user-defined functions because we are creating that function name and we are creating that function purpose. So those functions are called user-defined function. Is it understand right? Difference between predefined and user-defined?
Yes, sir.
Next, we will go to the recursion. Recursion, like after completion of function, we will be able to understand the recursion because in the function we have function call, function definition, and function prototype. So after knowing all those three, we will understand between the normal function and the recursion functions. Next, we will go to the storage classes. So now in storage classes, we have four categories: auto, register, extend, static, which is like global and local. So as I mentioned, if you want to create any variable, with that variable, you will assign some data type. So after assigning data type also, if you want to specific the variable to some of the storage class, we can mention. So what is the advantage of storage class? See, for each and every variable, we need to mention that the scope of a variable and the lifetime and the default value and where it is storing the variable. So all these four categories should be important whenever we create any variable or any function. So by using these four only, we will create the functions or variables. So by using auto means it will tell the memory where it will create and it will show the default value and it will tell the scope and lifetime. So this is the purpose of the storage class. And after storage classes, we have the arrays concept. So as per in the demo session now, in arrays, is like simply understand it is a like collection of similar data items. See, for example, if you want to create 100 same data type of variable, it is like very headache problem. So to avoid that, what we will do, just we will create one type of array. But that type of array, we will tell that we want to create 100. So simply we will give the int a of 100. Like in this way. So in this way, what we'll understand, the compiler, okay, we are creating data is like variable name and we are creating data of 100 variable different names. It's in a integer format. So these are called like arrays. In arrays, we have single dimension array and two dimension array. Like as we all know that two dimension array is like a matrix. And next, pointers concept. So pointer is like if you want to store address of a variable, then if you want to point out the address by using pointers only, you can able to point the address of the normal variable. So in this pointers, we will know the concept like what we have the dynamic memory allocation and static memory allocation by using pointers. Those all things we will know in the pointers concept. And then the strings also. In arrays, it's like simply considered like an integer decimal things. But in strings, we'll say like a characters, collection of a character. And after this, we have structures and unions. So in arrays, as I mentioned, it is like a collection of similar data items. But in structures and unions, we can say collection of dissimilar of collection of data items. And coming to the last memory load concept and files operation. So these are the overall concepts which we will discuss in the C programming language. So like this is the demo. If we are go ahead, then by tomorrow onwards we can start our class. Is it understand right everything? What are the concepts we have and what are the things we need to do?